obviously all the Norse weren't Viking, so the title was funny and kind of catchy. And obviously karma also isn't a direct correlation. But there is a similar philosophy in Norse cosmology, and that has to do with the Nortons, as you can see here. And this is a drawing I did that's done by Teespring and Redbubble. Link in the description if you're interested. Buying a shirt, sticker, or whatever the heck else. I'm not going to go over too much of the archetypal symbolism of these three, but you do have a maiden, mother, crone thing going on. You've got Skuld, Verdandi, and Earth. Now, Skuld means debt. She is the youngest of the three. She is future, technically. It's what is going to happen. And then Verdandi, the ever unfolding present. Verdandi is the mother, and then Earth is the crone, right? So maiden, mother, crone, popular, more so amongst Wiccans. It's kind of the three aspects of a woman's life, essentially. And it's supposed to be, related to the goddess and all that stuff, which is another reason I drew them the way that I did. It's actually based on a popular goddess symbolism. So in the lore, the Norns, they carve, they don't spin, they don't weave, not like the Greek fates do. I think they're called morai. I don't know. I'll look it up while I'm editing this and throw the word up there. But the Norns are actually associated with the Seith Kona, the Volva, the Norse witch. So Volva means wand bearer, and the distaff was that staff they have, that wand. And a distaff, if you're unaware, is what is actually used to weave. So while we don't have in the lore anything that says, oh, the Norns weave, the archaeological evidence shows that there is some association with weaving, because Seithr, the magic of the Volva, is actually supposed to be like the manipulation of fate and the Norns. That's the reason there's a distaff in the picture. And of course on the one arm I put Nodis, which is the rune for the Norns, and on the other side I put Wunjo, which is joy. So I have fate and joy on Verdhandi's arms, kind of symbolize the duality of fate. So I hit on this a little bit with my Blow It, Stumble, and Worship video, in that the actions that we take in life feed the well of earth, and the well itself feeds Yggdrasil, the world tree. So I'll speak a little bit about my spiritual beliefs. I know I haven't done that a whole lot, because usually I focus on the practical, because it's practical and more applicable to life, right? It's my belief that we do, through our actions, through our deeds, through our reputation, through our intentions, we feed that spiritual realm, and then that spiritual realm in turn feeds the world tree, which obviously would be an actual tree. It would probably be more of a cosmological structure holding the various different planes of existence together, and thus feeding us as well. We feed the spiritual realm where the archetypes and that collective unconsciousness exists. Of course, I'm not one to bet on anything that I can't prove. That's just kind of my take and theory based on my perceptions of things, as well as certain experiences that I've had. So you can kind of see in a practical sense, the actions you take, your reputation, all that stuff does feed you. The community you build, the people you interact with. A common term for that these days is web of weird. Weird actually comes from Earth. Weird is actually the Old English, not the Old Norse. It's just a little more popular, probably because of Shakespeare. I'm not actually sure. The Weird Sisters. I think they were sisters. I'm kind of confusing with Discworld at this point, but nevertheless, yeah, that comes from the Fates and the Norns. And weird, Old English, so Anglo-Saxon. So that web is a connectivity, it's building relationships. There's actually a term that I came upon recently, because I am not very Anglo-Saxon in my beliefs. I'm more of, Scandinavian, Nordic. It's called Gefrain. I'll throw a link to the video that I watched. It was actually by another Goldie, a guy out of Texas. I'll put that in the description below. He kind of rambles on about it. It's essentially reputation. A lot of your honor, right? Your reputation, that Gefrain, that is going to feed you. Like, for example, in my profession, one of the reasons that I do so well is because I know people in the area. I've been able to build that reputation. They know I'm reliable. I know how to de-escalate and handle my stuff. And that really is about, building community. Same thing with the kindred. They know me. They've listened to me ramble multiple times. They don't have the benefit of me being able to edit myself. A lot of times they're just listening to unedited streams of consciousness, especially with too much mead. So in summary, the Viking Karma, Norse equivalent of karma, would be the cycle of Urðabrunnar. Urðabrunnar is Earth as well. And you'll notice that the debt, the future, feeds into our present, which feeds into the past, which feeds into the tree. And a lot can be said for that mindset. It's so highlighted in heathenry that, you know, your honor, your reputation, who you are as an individual, the community that you're able to build, and that name, right? That name is so important. Kind of like I mentioned in my afterlife video, it's not about some shiny heaven that you're going to go to. It's about the legacy that you leave behind. And of course, during bloat, the horn itself represents the well of earth, and we're speaking words over it. So we are symbolically and possibly spiritually feeding into the representation of that well. That's the thing. You'll notice a pattern, and this is one of the reasons that I focus on the practical. You'll notice a pattern of symbolism in spirituality. And that's why I try to use a more psychological model to explain things, because it's really all psychological, which I'm planning on going over in a future video on my YouTube influences. Now you can see a mythological, a lore equivalent to we are the sum of our actions. Be better tomorrow than you were yesterday.
Whoa, this is heavy.
There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
What?
Patreon, Subscribestar, Redbubble, Teespring, all the crap's in the thing. I add new pictures constantly because I love to doodles. I always feel silly asking people to like and subscribe and do all that stuff, because I'm like, if you're on YouTube, you probably know. So. Skull.